And hello, it is me, it is that D-O-double-G, and what a glorious bank holiday Monday. I haven't been at work for a month, so I had no idea it was a bank holiday. It's just another day for me, but what a beautiful day. You've had birds flying high, you know how I feel, the sun in the sky, and you know how I feel, the breeze drifting on by. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Charlotte, how about you?
Sus Michael Bublé.
Well,
I know. Yeah, I'm doing really, really well, thank you. It's nice to be back. I've had a week off. I'm raring to go again, but yeah, I'm really good.
I
You
know.
okay?
People didn't know that we let you have time off, you know.
I know.
We do now and again, only now and again, but it does happen just to keep it fresh. And it's not just me and Charlotte. I am a rose between two thorns today because we have Keira with us as well. How are you, Keira?
I'm great. I am fantastic. How are you?
Do you know what? I'm all right. It's been a lovely day. It's been a really, really lovely day. And weather's been good. If you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan as well, it's been an exceptional day. Congratulations to Sheffield Wednesday. We will touch on that a little bit later on. But there have been some people who've should we start positively or negatively? We'll start positively because it's not just a nice day to make me happy, but to make Keira happy. Everton is still a Premier League team for like the X amount of years, whatever it is, loads of years, you're still going to be in the Premier League.
Absolutely buzzing. 70th consecutive season now in the top flight. So thank God for that.
That is some major effort. And Heather in the chat as well will just say hello, Heather, and she's taking full credit for that over at Bournemouth.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beaching it. They were certainly beaching it for you. I mean, the game 1-0. I mean, when you were watching it as a fan, how did that make you feel?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I cried a lot. It feels like a massive weight lifted off your shoulders, to be honest, but it wasn't like as in a celebration. It was more of a like massive relief. Yeah, it's not something as a football club we should be celebrating relegation. It's for the second year in a row as well, surviving that. Not as a club should we be doing that.
It was a question I was going to ask, actually, but as soon as you broached it, we'll discuss it now. There were like pitch invasions. All the fans were obviously getting exceptionally excited. Like you said, do you think is something? I mean, being happy, yeah, I get invading the pitch. Happy is it that sort of relation? Because I don't know. It's going to be an emotionally traumatic time, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand last season the pitch invasion and everything that went on. Obviously, it was such a turbulent time this year and last season as well. But it was such a massive relief last season, as it was this season, that I understand everyone pitch invasion celebrating because we never had anything like that in years. So to survive that was massive. But we shouldn't be going through it again. The fans need to know that we shouldn't be going through it again. So we can't accept it and accept that it's going to be a massive party at the end because it's not. We need change now. So we've got that. We're safe. We need to, from now on, there needs to be a change from the top right down to the bottom. And then we're not having it again.
So it's a weird sort of annual celebration to have, isn't it? It's like party in the park for surviving relegation. I mean, Chris in the chat says, not so many times Everton have survived on the last day, and for the size of the club, it shouldn't keep happening. Heather, he was happy at toxic to see at the same time. And Chris is also old enough to remember Barry Horn moment and Graham Stewart moments. Are they people? Are they? What do they do? Who's Barry Horn? I'm assuming it's Horn and not Horny. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not that old. Do you remember that? You're obviously not old enough to remember that. We were just discussing off cam. Keira was closer in age to my daughter than to myself. But do you remember Barry Horn and Graham Stewart moments?
I mean, I don't, but I know about it.
Yeah, we'll take that. I mean, in the actual game itself, I mean, we've talked about the game before the sort of fallout and everything else. I mean, that wasn't enjoyable to watch that first half, was it?
No, it was it was a strange performance that first half because it was very like Sean Dyche must have told him like keep your emotions like under wraps sort of thing because they were just it wasn't Like, they weren't bad, but they weren't goals. It was just weird.
Yeah, he's
Their goalie made a lot of good saves in that first half as well.
Oh, yeah, and I mean that. Obviously, they came with a bit more passion in the second half, but that was a nice goal, wasn't it?
Oh, it was lovely goal. I'm putting that on for goal of the season, me.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. I cannot remember if he's one of the midfielders that you liked or that you didn't. Then Donker, I can't quite remember.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I want to remember.
Yeah. I think I do, really. I don't think you're particularly positive about it, but
I'll with all my heart now.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, Heather was saying in the chat that was their second goalie. Bournemouth I thought all of Bournemouth's players on the pitch were their second players in that game. I didn't think they brought anyone in the first team. They just left them at home. I mean, and Chris was saying the game was. You saw the game and it was very flat. I thought it was very flat indeed. Yeah. But like you said, I mean, after the game, they sort of pumped that up a little bit. But I mean, what from what you saw there, I mean, how much of an influence do you think Dyche had from where you were to where you are at the end of the season?
Oh, massively. Like, credit where credit's due. We had Lampard. Like, come on. He's 11. I think. Has everybody seen what he's done at Chelsea? But yeah, I mean, I think Dyche has had 11 less games than Lampard, and he's got 5 wins. Lampard only had the 4. So that says it all, really. We've got 5 wins out of Dyche. If we didn't have Dyche and carried on with Lampard, we would be relegated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hero. He is a hero, isn't he, Dyche? I do like it. I mean, Chris in the chat, even he cheered the Decore goal. But I mean, for anybody listening or watching on YouTube, if you did want to join us live, by the way, and have your 2Ps with in the chat, this is live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. For the first time on Facebook, we're trying that out. It might not work. Who knows? But feel free to come along and join the conversation with us. But were you at the game, Keira, or were you just watching at home? Or
just watching at home, unfortunately. Wish I was there.
Well, did you invade the garden afterwards? Or
oh yeah, I was running around the house.
I mean, did Seamus Coleman give like a team talk or something? What was that?
I don't know, but I saw him get off the bed, like, because obviously he's had his injury and he's had surgery on his knee. I saw him right at the end, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin was behind trying to hold him up. He's like all his like going plastered trying to run on the pitch. I was like, mate, you really need to sit down.
He is, because he's like 48 now, isn't he? I'm sure he's older than me, Seamus Coleman. But believe it or not. But you did say, I don't know if anybody's seen, but Keira certainly has on Twitter, Seamus Coleman has signed for, is it just a 1-season extension? Or
I'm not sure. I think it'll probably be 1 season. But yeah, if you didn't know, my Twitter's like a Seamus Coleman fan page. So
it is. I keep doing I'm assuming you were saying you were doing cartwheels around your room. That wasn't Seamus.
Yeah, I don't recommend Seamus doing cartwheels around the house. I don't think that'd be good for him.
No, that'll certainly put his back out. I mean, the one thing that obviously that has been hanging over everything for a while is your ownership situation. My understanding is there are rumours that you are a fairly imminent takeover, regardless of whether you got promoted or stayed up, which is interesting in of itself. Have you heard anything on that locally? Any chats in the pub that you're allowed to go into?
There isn't much. I don't think people want to get the hopes up too much. To just be let down as usual. But the All Together Now campaign come out with a statement again today, stating that we won't tolerate another minute as fans under the governance of this board, because it's awful. We want that like sort of unity in the club, and we can't have that with the fractured relationship we've got with the board. You cannot come out and put the fans under the bus and then come out and say you've been put in headlock by a fan where there's no CCTV footage, hasn't been reported to the police, no one around the stadium seen it. You just can't do that. You cannot throw the fans under the bus that support your club. So there's a change right from the very top that's needed.
It is. I mean, and Chris in the chat saying everyone was singing "Sack the Board," and it's a funny one because you can't say that the guy hasn't backed the club. He certainly backed them fiscally with, I think, 700 million. Is that roughly what he spent?
Yeah, a ridiculous amount of money he spent.
It is. It's. I mean, it's not been wisely done. I mean, if there is a takeover, I mean, you hoping Dyche's staying?
Yeah, I don't see an issue with him staying at this moment. I mean, I'm hoping, guys. I'm worried about everything at the moment, so you just got to bear with me. But I'm hoping, yeah, everything's going to go well at the start of the season. A total rebuild over the summer. Obviously, Yerry Mina announced the other day that he will be leaving Everton in the summer, which is really sad to see because he is a class player, but he's made of glass, so there is no point really in him being here. But yesterday he was massive part of the game. Yeah, I don't see Dyche leaving as of yet because it depends what the board do because God knows what they're going to do.
This is true. I mean, Chris is asking, I'm assuming you directly, who do you blame for the lack of quality players being signed?
Mashiri, Dyche, not Dyche. Oh my God, not Dyche, sorry. Mashiri, Kenwright. Because it was in my head then. Mashiri, Kenwright. Let me name them all for you. Kevin Thelwell, Graham Sharp. Anybody else on there? Denise Barrett-Baxendale. All of them. They're all at fault. You can't be, especially in January, in that position that we were in, desperately needing attackers. And they're just not buying anyone. What is the point? And don't come up with you bought more pay in summer because what was he for?
That is what I was
the worst moment of the season was. It was signing him. What is the point?
I mean, actually has come out and said it's going to be quite a pre-season. He's already promising the players quite to work through. But I think it's one. Well, I think the benefit that you've got, he is a guy that is used to working with what he's got. So even if there is some sort of weird board takeover situation, you don't sign anybody, you don't sign anyone until quite late. He's quite solid at sorting stuff out like that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And obviously you've seen Lampard didn't get the best out of the players that what he had at the time. And Dyche has obviously kept us up and got the best out of the players that he has. And obviously brought Keira back into the side where Lampard had him playing with the under-21s because he just didn't like him. Michael Keane come back in, scored a screamer, then had a few bad games. So, he mixed it up, brought Mina back in after his injuries. And you can see he is getting the best out of the players that he's got. So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
I mean, I like to think I've been quite balanced. I haven't said anything negative at all about Everton staying up. So staying on that. I mean, Shah, you're a neutral. You are very neutral on this. What did you think of the Everton game and them actually staying up in the final day like that?
Obviously, I'm happy they stayed up. They're a great club. We've seen them in the past. We've always been one of them clubs that I've always enjoyed watching when they had Fellaini, they had Bain, Stephen Pienaar, them kinds of players. So I've always liked watching Everton. I'm happy for them in that aspect. I just kind of, like Keira was saying as well, I just think they need a total rebuild. But I think it has to start off the pitch than on the pitch because they've gone through a few bad seasons now and they've survived twice. I just wouldn't like it to happen another time and maybe it go like one step, obviously, below and obviously the worst happen. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. The game, though, I think it just showed there was a lot of pressure on. It wasn't the best game. Like Chris said in the chat, it was really flat. But I think Bournemouth as well, obviously, they didn't have anything to play for, did they? I think they were still, they were in holiday mode. Like Heather said, second string players as well. So, yeah, it wasn't the greatest game. But I think when you're down there, I don't think it really is it? You're kind of fighting and, yeah. But I am happy for Everton. I am happy.
Oh, you're so lovely. I mean, and Craig in the chat, he's saying more pay. He thinks more suited to clubs like Brighton and Brentford. So maybe you could send him back to Brighton. I think of course, Chris is saying Dyche's quite subtle with his budget. So whatever he is given, he will sign quality players.
Yeah.
Which I sort of agree. Do you know what I think would be ideal for Everton? But you won't get him. Not for love nor money. Is it Ivan Toney? I actually think Toney be a quality signing for Everton, but just not right now. Just not right now. I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh, do you know what? Do you know what though? The thing is with Ivan Toney, right? And he's done wrong, and he shouldn't have done what he's done. But at the same time, I think to myself, there should be people now supporting him. Whereas obviously he's got the ban. This is a time now where obviously he'll not really have much to do. Obviously it's end of season. This is where he could obviously get back into them habits. And as much as I think obviously it's bad what he's done, he shouldn't have done it. They need to support him. He needs to get help, because an addiction's an addiction at the end of the day.
No, do you know it is, and it's. I sort of think sometimes, is it better? I tell my daughter off for that. Is it better that they would sort of administer a heavy fine over a big layoff on playing? I mean, because it's 8 months. Is it 8 months? I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll take him. That's basically up to Christmas. So he's not going to be playing, and that's hard.
I agree. Yeah, I agree he should be punished because he's done wrong. He shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, I think this is where he'll be the most vulnerable now, and where he could fall back into habits, maybe even worse. So I do take on board that he should be punished, but I think maybe try and support him through this. And it's kind of a bit of a steep.
Yeah, because I mean, it was in the topic that we're going to discuss, but I think if you look at it on balance, I mean, you've got things like players previously biting each other and administering racist abuse, not getting that long a ban.
Exactly.
And I mean, I get it. The principle of it is that, he's bringing the game to dispute by betting on games, but a lot of the games he's not involved in. And, my understanding is he didn't bet on games that he was playing in either.
I think, did he?
No, he did. He did, because I think 4 times
came out. He did actually. Yeah.
I knew he bet at Brentford. I wasn't sure if it was a game that he was actually in, but I mean, is it? Yeah,
I think to myself as well. Like, as footballers and as not even footballers, as fans, you're surrounded by everything. You're surrounded by Sky Bet. You surround, obviously, when you win a man of the match, it's Sky Bet who sponsors it. It's just betting everywhere. You have it on your football shirt sponsors. And I think to myself, not just players getting involved with gambling, but obviously fans as well. And it's not, you should be able, like people say, oh, you should be able to control this and stuff, but you do get addicts and things like that. They need to be careful of, because you're just surrounded by, obviously, on the sponsors, on like sponsor boards around grounds, obviously on the TV. It's just, I think there needs to be some sort of support.
Is it next season, or maybe the season after, they've said that betting sponsors or like gambling sponsors aren't allowed on the front of Premier League shirts or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, and this, it is right. I mean, and Craig's saying on this, it's an illness, and
it is.
He does need help, and that's there's no. I mean, across football, refereeing decisions. I mean, bans like this, the consistency is just it's not there, and I think you've got to be so careful, because it is a measure of what do you value is more important.
Yeah.
In regards to your social behaviour, in things like alleged racist abuse. I mean, if you look at like John Terry, alleged, and Suarez, that the punishments that they had, and then compare it with this, they're just it's really difficult, and it doesn't make sense. But it is a shame. It's not nice, but hopefully though you'll learn from that and pull back, because we've got to remember. Because it affected players like Paul Merson, when you look at his story, and Gaza and the like. So addiction does hit people, and it's important that he gets the help. But I do think maybe when he comes back in January, Everton should go from them, because I think he's just fabulous. He's a brilliant striker, and I think the physicality that he's got as well. Yeah, the physicality that he's got, it just that match beautifully. But I mean, we weren't going to discuss this game, but I will just mention it. Brentford did actually do the double over Man City as well on the final day, which even without Ivan Toney, I think it was Pinnock scoring the goal there. Just very quickly on Brentford, because I haven't told anybody that we were going to look at this, because we would. But what do you think Brentford are going to do next year? Do you think they're going to continue to build? Because they've been a bit of a dark horse, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Go on. I tell you, Shah, you go first, then you, Keira, because I handed that over really poorly.
I hope so. I hope they do build on. I think obviously Tony will be a loss. I think summer is where we'll kind of know more, because obviously the business to do. I just hope they don't. I hope they don't do well this season and then kind of drop off, because it he's going to be a big miss, Tony. I know obviously he comes back after Christmas, as we mentioned, but he was the leading goal scorer and he is vital to them. Yeah. But I think it all just depends in the summer for transfers and obviously how they spend their money. But fair play to Brentford. They've done amazing. And I thought they'd do all right, but I didn't expect them to do as well as they have. So, and especially the budget and stuff they have compared to a lot of them in the league, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And just how the style of football and everything.
I mean, they finished ninth, which is exceptionally admirable. Yeah. I mean, Chris saying in the chat they've still got quality forwards, and Craig, what's Craig saying? Brentford won 3 games with Tony out, beating Liverpool 3-1, but we don't talk about that. But they've got a quality manager with Frankel getting into the top half. I mean, Keira, in your opinion, do they just try and struggle on without him, or do they do some sort of loan for the first half of the season? What do you think they should be doing?
I don't know. I think they'll probably bring in, obviously, players in the summer and build on that. But as it's just been mentioned in the chat, that they have done really well as well without Tony. It's not like the whole team surrounded by him. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've got the plan without him because they knew it was coming, this ban. So they've obviously had time to prepare for it. And Thomas Frank's a class manager. I mean, he's quality. So I think next season I think they might even do better. Next season, I think they might even be challenging for Europe, to be honest.
We could do with less teams challenging for Europe, thanks. And Simon in the chat saying the Coventry owner said whilst he's in charge, they won't have a betting company as their shirt sponsor, which I think is quite admirable. There's a couple of teams that have done stuff like that in the past. And I think it's the right thing to do. There's a lot of children watching football, isn't it? There's a huge amount. But do you know what? There was a question I was going to ask Keira, and I've completely missed it now. But I just while we're on, because I will do while I remember it. This season, just quickly on Everton, I think you won 10 home games, I believe it was this year, going 16 goals, which is a record for least amount of home wins and least amount of goals scored at home. What's wrong with playing at Goodison?
I don't know. I think it's just obviously been the ups and the downs and everything. That's obviously, I think specifically, that the board is. I think it all comes back down to the board as well, and the separation they've caused in between the fans. And if you remember, getting towards January, beginning of the season, everyone was at each other's throats about it. It was just they were separating the fan base at one point. So obviously we've got that unity back now, and they've won more games more towards the end of the season at home, which is what we need because the fans are the pinnacle of the club. If we don't have the fans behind the players, they've got no chance. Absolutely no chance this season. So having that backing now, I think going into next season, especially with Dyche, I think it'll be a lot better, hopefully.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoy the passion there as well. Legitimately. But Chris is saying Brentford are going to lose David Raya, so they're going to have to sign a few players, and they were going to be in a good position to do it, finishing 9th, obviously challenging to go forward. We've already covered Everton just about surviving relegation and their plans going forward, but somebody who didn't survive relegation, despite winning, Leicester City 2, West Ham 1. I mean, Shah, what how did that make you feel?
I'm going to be really honest now. I think now Leicester have been relegated. I think they really will struggle. And I really don't want them to, but I think they'll go on a bit of a downfall. And I just think since obviously the tragedy with obviously the chairman, obviously his son now, I just feel like they've gone on a bit of a downward spiral, and they've kind of got aging players. Obviously, Jamie Vardy, he can't stick around forever. They're going to end up losing Maddison. I think it's pretty nailed on now that he's going to go. And a lot of the players that they've got now, I think, will obviously jump ship. So I honestly do think Leicester will really struggle. But that is my opinion. So please don't come for me, football fans and Leicester fans.
She's got enough people after me.
I've got Chelsea fans after me. I don't need Leicester fans too.
I mean, Chris has said in the chat, it's the biggest wage budget to have ever been relegated. I think they were actually the seventh highest wage budget in the Premier League at Leicester. I mean, Craig's saying Leicester are going to have a big rebuild. He reckons Telemans, Barnes, Maddison, and Didi all could possibly go. And it's a big. I mean, ironically, and Haley's in the chat. Hello, Haley. And hopefully, you never know. We might have one with the rest of the team next week when they do the end of season review. We'll try and plow in as many people as we can for that. But I think the ironic thing is, if you saw the statement released from the chairman today, he talks about the fact that he's sticking around, he's planning to continue to invest and do everything that he can to build it back up. But when you look at their finances and their budgets, they've been building to qualify for Europe every season. And it was only during COVID. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen the All About Leicester episode that we did, which was very interesting. It's probably the most handsome hosts that we've had on our All About series so far. But it was just me. But it was really interesting. We did say during COVID, a lot of the money that the owners have are in holidays and resorts, and obviously that didn't exist, which is why they had to cut back. They were still thinking they were going to Europe, so they were trying to cut their cloth, which is why they said they cut back spending so much. But I think the biggest poo-poo that they made was Brendan Rodgers, who I will say Charlotte predicted should have been sacked in October. I think Charlotte was calling for.
Do you know what? I think it was like the beginning of the season. I think it was right at the beginning.
Do you know what? We started the pod. I think we started this about October, and I'm sure one of the first episodes, Charlotte was giving it absolute shit, saying Rodgers should be gone, Rodgers out. Naff off Rodgers. I mean, Keira, why do you think they left so late to pull the trigger?
I don't know. I think it was maybe, obviously, as you said about the investment and stuff, that they weren't prepared at that point, maybe earlier on, to afford to get another manager or get other players in, because they put very little investment in the transfer windows, and I think that's why they've struggled so much this season, because obviously now they've been relegated, they're going to have barely anyone left, I think, because of the quality of some of their players. So I think not bringing anyone in is really not helped him.
It's not. I mean, and Simon in the chat, he's saying Leicester be relegated with the best thing to happen this weekend from a Coventry fan. Chris believes missing Johnny Evans, as he only came back near the end, would have made a big difference. And Haley also, she's surprised he left it that long. She'd assumed they wait for the end of the season. And it was a weird one. They waited a long time. I mean, in the chat, Craig saying they went to Newcastle game on Boxing Day. They were talking about relegation, and we were shocked. They were 13th and just started to pick up before the World Cup. But I mean, in fairness, and I will say in fairness to you, Shark, you did call it in that you did say you felt the writing was on the wall very early on in regards to his attitude, the way he was with the club, and how the results were not ideal. So where did you get this psychic ability from?
I just feel like you can kind of tell when it's going stale, can't you, at the club? And I just think maybe, I don't want to say outstayed his welcome, because that sounds really mean. I've got nothing against him whatsoever, which is quite harsh. But I just feel like there weren't really much going on with them. There weren't really much ambition. It was just there, and it weren't really doing much.
No. He was on a right grump, wasn't he? I mean, he moaned his head off. And I think the owner waited until the last day of the transfer window to go, by the way, we're not signing anyone because I'm not spending any money. After the whole window of Rodgers saying about all the players that he needed in. So that wasn't a nice start. But I mean, you think, Shah, then that they're down and they ain't gonna be bouncing back?
I think obviously with so many players obviously possibly leaving, which I think they will. I think Maddison 100%, Harvey Barnes, as we mentioned, Jamie Vardy's obviously getting older now. I think they will need a total rebuild, so I don't think they'll go straight back up anytime soon. I'm hoping they don't go on a free-for-all and obviously end up going down. I don't think that will happen, but I do think they will struggle. I really do next season. And I think it's just for the fact that they will have to have a major rebuild because a lot of the players will go.
I mean,
it could do well. It could do in the world of good, though, if that happens, like the rebuild. I think this is what they might need.
Yeah. I've heard a few people say that I know it's like a bit cliche, but for them to go down, to have a bit of focus kicked into them, they're going to have to sort of reevaluate themselves. Could make a bit of difference. I mean, Craig's saying in the chat, he knows he's getting on a bit, but he thinks selling Schmeichel was a big error, which I do. From a personality perspective, I can I can definitely get that. And Haley's saying there's a pattern. Conte and Rodgers having a rant or a moan, and then poof, they disappear. It's just very true because when you're on the way out, what have we got to lose?
Do you know with Leicester as well? I feel like obviously they were on a high from winning the Premier League, and then I think did they win the FA Cup or something? Was it
2021? They won the FA Cup.
I think obviously we won the FA Cup, and then I think it's kind of like a bit of reality's kicked in since then, and then obviously they've gone downhill since
they've
then.
been like fifth, seventh,
exactly,
about that area. Since they won the Premier League. I think the season after in the Premier League, they were like 5th or 7th. And then they were kicking in that. They were in Europe for a couple of times. I'm sure they got to like a semi-final of a European Cup.
I'm not sure got Harry Maguire. They need Harry Maguire back.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. I mean, Chris is saying even with the parachute payments, this will be in the Championship for a while. Keira, do you think Dean Smith is the man to bring them back up, or do you think they need to take another goosey gander at what's going on there?
I think they might need to get a new manager. Now, I don't want to say too much on Dean Smith because I do like Dean Smith, but I just think obviously with the way it's gone so far, this obviously with the Premier League and stuff, and he's not managed to keep them up and they've not been getting good results. I just think that it might be time to actually have a proper rebuild over the summer and get a new manager, get new players in, like totally like transform the club, I think.
They need to be on it like Sonic if they go into.
Yeah.
That's been their big problem the previous seasons. They just waited. They waited ages to sign anyone, waited ages to sack anyone. And so the decision really needs to be made now. Craig's in the chat. They got to the Europa Conference semi-final last year.
Yeah,
and West Ham and Chris is asking, please, they can have Maguire back on a free. I don't think you'd be able to hack it in the Championship, personally.
Just to add to Dean Smith, though, as well, I think, obviously, I don't know if he will stay or not, but I think the only good thing is with them keeping Dean Smith is he is used to the Championship.
Yeah.
I think that's the only real plus, obviously, about keeping Dean Smith because he's used to, obviously, Championship and stuff. But it's just whether they will want to keep him or whether they just think, right, this season off altogether and then get... then again, like, I don't know who else to get in as manager. Because I think they kind of had the heart set on Graham Potter, didn't they? When obviously Chelsea got rid of him and then he just kind of went, no, I'm taking a break from football. I think Chelsea just kind of ruined him, bless him. So he was like, no. So I think that's the only one I could really see like kind of working. But I don't know if Graham Potter would want to go into somewhere like that.
They could call Frank Lampard when he gets out from Chelsea.
We'll be playing him in the conference. That happens.
That's just confirming them down to League One, isn't it? Let's be honest.
And Haley in the chat saying she thinks Leicester's got a lot of work. If they need a chance to return next season, she could pull a crystal ball up for the manager, guess, because you know what happens if she predicts an old retiring manager. This sort of seems to come out. She's got Ruud van Nistelrooy, free agent and much experience. The Championship would be a great. He was at PSV, isn't he? Just left PSV.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Dear. And Craig in the chat, you could see Dean Smith going to Leeds, which I mean, that will allow us to segue nicely into the Leeds game because that was diabolical, wasn't it? Leeds won, Tottenham 4. I mean, I don't like to criticise on this podcast very often, but let's be fair, Leeds were utter shit. I mean, Keira, I'm not sure if you caught any of that. I mean, what did you think of that game?
No, I didn't catch much of it, but I think they've said they've got no wins in 9 games and conceded 29 goals in them 9 games. Like that, come on, that's awful. They've got the worst defence in the Premier League, 78 goals I think they've conceded all season. Like, it's just mad how obviously downhill. I know that they were in the same position as us last season and managed to stay up, but bringing Big Sam in as well, like, what were you thinking?
Do you know what? I love Big Sam, but I think bringing Big Sam in with 4 games, one of which is Man City, and the other one is sort of on form Newcastle. That just mental. I mean, I'm not sure what you think, Shab, but I mean, the owner, I'm not sure if everyone's aware. So the owner, Radzani, is looking to sell the club or sell his shares in the club to the San Francisco 49ers, whilst at the same time, he hasn't attended a game, I don't think, this calendar year. And he's actually in the middle of negotiations by Sampdoria, who are just being relegated from Serie A at the moment. So he's sort of I think you could quite easily say his head hasn't been in the game over at Leeds. Do you think?
Yeah, and it's really frustrating as a fan as well, like as a football fan, because if that's your club, you want your owners to be involved. And don't get me wrong, some owners get it right, some owners get it wrong. But to not go and support the club, especially when they're in a relegation battle, to be honest, I think is absolutely disgusting. But I think the worst thing Leeds did was get rid of Bielsa.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I really do think that's the worst thing they did, and to give it to Jesse Marsh. And I don't mean to be. I don't mean. I feel like I'm so negative today on this podcast, but to give it to Jesse Marsh, why? Why?
Yeah. Do you know? And everyone said Chris is agreeing with you. Aileen said Leeds players weren't fit enough. They shouldn't have got rid of Bielsa.
Yeah.
Simon saying they shouldn't have got rid of Bielsa. The only thing I will say for Bielsa was I think another season of Bielsa ball would have literally killed the players. I mean, Haley's agreeing with you as well, Shah, with the points you make. They're getting. I do think it was. I think he needed to change something, and I don't think he would have done. But yeah, Jesse Marsh, sweet baby Jane and the orphans.
Exactly. If you're gonna sack Bielsa, at least have a plan. Like, at least have somebody. But to sack Jesse Marsh and obviously get Sam Allardyce in with 4 games to go, this to me shows that these owners really aren't in it. I mean, they might as well have got Frank Lampard.
I mean, someone in the chat says nobody who calls it soccer should manage in the Premier League.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not xenophobic, but I do sort of tend to concur with that one. But I agree. I think their heads just hasn't. Do you know what I think the Jesse Marsh one stunk of is? I think I mentioned it on the pod a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot of owners who want to be clever. They want to make they're making clever decisions and putting stuff out of left field to be smart and to do something. Whereas logically, I mean, my dad's a big Leeds fan, and he presented this argument to me, which initially I laughed off. But the more I think about it, at that point in time, when they're getting rid of Bielsa, I think Pochettino had just been sacked from PSG. Yeah. And his argument was, who loves Bielsa more than Bielsa is Pochettino. I think they played again. He played under him in Argentina. He was definitely a disciple of Bielsa, and he'd managed him on more than one occasion, I believe. And he thinks they would have been able to bring him into the club, and that would have made more sense because the transition and the style of football would have been a little bit easier. He would have understood what Bielsa did, and he would have understood what the players have been playing under because he would have already done it. I mean, Keira, do you think that would have been a smarter move than going for the Jesse Marsh?
Yeah,
which is easy answered.
Yeah, I totally think so. Obviously, when he's a great manager, but I think obviously going from Bielsa to Jesse Marsh was mad because it was like 2 opposite ends of the scale. And then you bring in Sam Allardyce in. It's so many different styles of play. How are you expecting the players to keep up with that constantly? I know they're professional footballers and that's the job. But my head would be all over the place and all if I had to play 300 different ways of football. So I think, yeah, he would have been the better option. If they could have gone.
You never know. I mean, Craig saying in the chat that he thinks Leeds are going to be better equipped than people think to bounce back up. I mean, I think it depends on the ownership situation more because, I mean, because they're going to have new owners. I think I don't know if you heard Sam Allardyce's interview. He's very bullish as if basically to say he's off. He's going home anyway. It's not his problem. He's given a bit of advice and then he's buggering off back into obscurity somewhere. I mean, so you're both. I mean, I'll start with you, Shah. You're confident that Leeds could actually do something.
I think out of the clubs who have gone down, I think they've got more potential than Southampton and Leicester. I'm not going to say they're going to be in the top. I think they could get playoffs. I don't think they'll bounce straight back up like automatically, but I think they'll do a lot better than Southampton and Leicester, definitely.
Do you concur then, Keira?
Yeah, I think Southampton might actually get into the playoffs and maybe do a little bit better than Leeds, just because of the organisation at the club. They're very, very good at bringing players in and knowing who they want to leave, and their academy is very, very good as well. Like, so they've got class players they can bring up from that. So I think Southampton might have a better chance in the Championship than Leeds. But obviously Leeds have got the experience, quite a lot of experience again, as have the other teams, but in the Championship. So you never know which way it's going to go, really.
Yeah, I think it'll all depend on the managerial as well, appointment.
Yeah.
I think they have to get it right this time. Like, the last two have been... I can't really say the last two because Sam Allardyce, he had 4 games, so you can't even Sam Allardyce, you can't make changes without, like we said, against Man City, against Arsenal. I don't get why they did it, to be honest.
No.
It's so silly.
I don't
4
get why.
games.
And it's like, imagine how much you've probably been paying him as well for them 4 games.
I know.
There was no logic to it. I mean, like, 2 months. You know, give him like 8 games. Give him 8 games, 10 games. You know, like a third of the season, maybe. Then that could be something. But 4 games, sweet baby Jane and the orphans. I mean, Chris in the chat thinks the only good thing about Leeds is IKEA, and personally, he doesn't think that they will bounce back straight away. And I genuinely think it's to do with the ownership and who they take on. I mean, Hayley's refuses to comment because of BBC, whatever, or Football Heaven that she's on. I think they would have it.
There's going to be, in the Championship, there's going to be a lot of big clubs in that Championship next season. You look at, obviously, who's gone down and, obviously, who's coming up. There's going to be a lot. So I think it's going to be... I don't want to go too much into it, but I think next season in the Championship, I couldn't call it.
No.
But if you do want to know that conversation,
yes.
on Thursday this week,
Yes.
Charlotte and I shall be doing a light bite together.
Yes.
I'm doing my first light bite in...
Since we were singing. Since we were singing.
It was. It must have been the sing-along show that we did. God, blimey. But we should be discussing the teams that have gone up and come down in the lower leagues later on. Speaking of the lower leagues, just as a separate note for Charlotte, somebody here, Jake, has dropped you a message about potentially joining the lower league podcast that you're looking at. I'm sure she'll pick that and get back to you. I think, and Chris is saying in the chat, Sheffield Wednesday versus Leeds will be some game. That'll be enjoyable. They'll thoroughly enjoy that one next door to each other. Heather thinks it's going to be an exciting year coming up. I'm assuming we're talking about in the lower league because that will be certainly interesting. But while we're on talking about the relegated teams, Southampton 4, Liverpool 4. I will say we put out a weekend squad as well because I think we were done. We had already blown our Champions League, but it's fine because we didn't want to play in the Champions League next year anyway. Just want to have a rest, give somebody else a go, share it around a little bit. But yeah, my takeaway from that was Ward-Prowse. I'm not sure if you saw when they were doing their little walk around that they do after the game and waving at people and stuff. You could just be saying anything, but I had a perception that do you think he's going to be sticking around? I don't think he will be based on how he was. Shaking your heads in unison for all of our audio listeners. Both Charlotte and Keira had synchronized head shaking. Then they both disagree that he's going to go. Quickly, Chris thinks that Liverpool got lucky and that we're very generous sharing our positions out. And Hayley agrees that Sheffield Wednesday and Barnsley. I was the third, but we will pick up on that one in a bit. But Akira, I'll start with you first. Do you think Ward-Prowse is gone? Would you take him at Everton? Do you think he would fit?
He probably wouldn't fit, but I'd take him. I'd take him any day of the week. I'd be happy for anyone to come in, to be honest, at this point. But no, I don't see him staying at Southampton. He's been in the England squad quite a few times, and that'll be his aim, to be getting to like the Euros or the World Cup again. I think that's going to be, he's going to want to be a Premier League club or at least a top flight club somewhere else. So yeah. I don't see him staying.
Yeah, I mean, Shah, who do you think he would go to? Rochdale.
I don't know. I do. I wish anyone had come to us, to be fair. But I don't know. I'd take him just for his set pieces. Any club in general. I think maybe a Brentford or someone. One of them kind of teams.
He's a weird one, isn't he?
I like him. I think he's been a really good servant for Southampton, and obviously he's been very loyal with them. There's been rumours in the past saying that he's going to move on, but he's not. He's always stuck around. But I think now would be the perfect time for him to go somewhere.
Yeah. I think I see it as it might be like a shock move as well, where he might go to like a bigger club. Like I can see him going to Man United, to be honest.
I mean, Chris in the chat said they would take him at United. He thinks he's very underrated. Craig thinks
Mount.
Everyone is. He's the most sought after raccoon in the Premier League, Mason.
That includes me. I love him.
But,
I love him.
I mean, Craig thinks he's a 6 or 7 club like a West Ham or Tottenham. To me, I think he's too good for West Ham or Tottenham. He's such a weird one for me. He reminds me of Jordan Henderson.
Again, if West Ham cash in, obviously on Declan Rice, could be a possibility to go to West Ham.
Yeah.
I mean, the chat, Heather's sharing your love for Mason Mount, I'm assuming. But I mean, I think he reminds me of Henderson in that he's like solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not always there tearing up trees in regard to doing something special and spectacular every game, but he's solid, he's dependable. He's like he's like a James Milner without all the versatility and just the rugged good looks that Milner has.
He is Mr. Southampton, isn't he? Ward-Prowse, he is Mr. Southampton.
He is. I mean, Craig would have him at Newcastle. But he doesn't think they will. I think he'd be a good fit in Newcastle.
Do you know what? I would earlier on in the season, I would have said Newcastle, but now obviously they've got Champions League and stuff. I don't know whether they'd aim for someone, I don't want to say better. I sound really horrible today, but I don't know if they'll go for more of a star player than him. But I would have actually said,
I mean, we're going to go through next season. We're going to go through everybody. We're going to go through a sort of end of season review. So we're not going to labour the point too much. But I mean, well done to Newcastle on getting into the Champions League. I thought that was nice for them. Qualifiers. But I mean, the one thing that does do for them for next season, their financial fair play. I mean, they could already spend I think it was 200 million this season, which they didn't, I believe, or the 250 without breaching financial fair play. Obviously, getting to the Champions League, if they get through the qualifying rounds, the money that's going to give them from an income perspective, Christ, they're going to be quite dangerous in regards to what they could do, because it's not like they have to sell to buy, is it? I mean, Keira, looking at that, they're sort of they're taking Everton's old position they used to have as challenging for that top 4 spot. I mean, they're going to do some damage? Do you not think?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, from where they were last season to where they are now, I really love watching them. To be honest, and I know they're not the biggest fans of us, and our fans aren't the biggest fans of them. But I like watching them. So I'm not too bothered. But no, I think they've done great this season. And obviously, when the new owners come in, they could spend all that money, and then they bought Kieran Trippier, and I was like, but you could buy anyone. And you bought Kieran Trippier, but then you see him fit into the side and what Eddie Howe's done and how he's transformed that team. So I think they've done such a good job with them. They've been careful how they spent the money. They've
been quite shrewd, haven't they? I mean, Craig has said in the chat they need another player trained at the club, which will be a third choice keeper probably, or they could just do like Man City, who has similar money, and just buy the best player from another team just to sit on their bench.
Do you know what, though? Phillips. I think while Eddie Howe is in charge, they won't do that.
No.
And I'm not saying they're not going to spend, but I don't think he'll spend stupidly, on like a stupid amount on one player. And that's where part of me thinks maybe Ward-Prowse would fit into an Eddie Howe type of team, because that's the typical signing Eddie Howe would make.
Yeah.
Rather than go and splash out a Neymar for ridiculous money, I think he would spend it wisely.
And he's a homegrown player as well, isn't he?
Exactly. And I love Eddie Howe.
As
everyone knows.
And Heather in the chat, she loves Eddie Howe as well. She said he's used to having a small budget. But I mean, before we move on from the Premier League, then I mean, congratulations to Nottingham Forest for surviving, and fair play to their owners, sticking with the Steve Cooper all the way through, despite some rocky times. They persevered. I mean, just a very quick prediction. Could you count all the signings Nottingham Forest are going to make this transfer window on two hands, or do you think you're going to have to take your shoes and socks off as well this season?
I don't know. They haven't got as many loan players as they did last season, have they? So I don't think it will be as many, but I still think it will be quite high figures, to be honest.
I think it'd be quite exciting, wouldn't it?
I think they need to be careful as well, because obviously it paid off just this season. But I think if they carry on with what they're doing, I think it's a massive risk, and they do need to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, Haley in the chat reckons it's going to be 4 to 5 signings. Chris is saying they've got a 50-player squad. They might need to trim that down, because I didn't see them have nearly as many going out, but they did have loan players. And Heather's joining in. She think they can't get another 30. That's for sure. That is correct. But obviously, as I said, we are doing a full Premier League review next week. But well done to Fulham. That was a good season that they had there, and I think Silva's maybe acquitted himself of some of the managerial cock-ups that he's made. But the other congratulations I do want to give before we go is well done Aston Villa, which is just magic. I'm sure I saw something somewhere that is like their first season in Europe in like nearly 2 decades, something like that. I mean, what I was really pleased with is their 2-1 victory over Brighton means Tottenham miss out on European football for the first time in 14 years. But Aston Villa qualifying with Unai Emery, I mean, sure, that's lovely, isn't it?
Absolutely quality. And you think, obviously, I don't want to call him because obviously he's your hero, but Steven Gerrard didn't do very well there, did he? And then since he's took over, they've just gone from strength to strength, and just the football they're playing. Some of the players now who obviously didn't perform under Gerrard are now performing under him. And yeah, I've always thought he was a good manager anyway. And what he's doing with Aston Villa, I think, is fantastic. And it'll be good to see them playing, obviously, European football again next season, because they're always one of the teams I do class as a big club, Aston Villa. Wow. And I used to love watching them back in the day, when they had like Gareth Barry and people like that. I used to always have a soft spot for Aston Villa. Yeah. And yeah, it's just really good to see these clubs and obviously these other teams challenging up there. Now, it's obviously not for you as a Liverpool fan. It's probably not the best, is it? But just horrible. In general, I know as a football fan, it's so good to see all these other clubs obviously doing well.
Yeah, I think it is good because it does show like a bit of versatility in the league, and the fact that when we say anybody can beat anybody, it's because they're actually playing well, not because they're all crap.
Yeah,
I mean, because you've also got Brighton in European football as well, and that's lovely to see. I mean, Craig in the chat is I was nearly right when I said over a decade. The first time they've been in Europe since 2010. And Chris, I believe, is saying Ollie Watkins has been superb.
He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And Craig again said they were the team to watch under Martin O'Neill, which
I loved him under Martin O'Neill.
I was going to say, I'm sure Keira's too young for that, but Aston Villa under Martin O'Neill.
I loved him.
I love Gareth Barry. He nearly came to Liverpool as well. He nearly came to Liverpool with Gareth Barry, but I think it was Benitez just didn't know what he was. What was going to happen. And Haley, my fellow Liverpool fan, says Gerrard needs to be in a secure environment to get back into management. But he's in punditry though with the Roy Keane, Carragher, Neville. I don't know if he would come back. I think he will come back into management because I think he's got a lot of passion for
maybe
for that
lower
side
league,
of it. But
like kind of start off more, lower league.
Like Rochdale.
I wish. But actually, I don't know whether I do. Sorry. But I think I'm not saying like really lower league, but maybe find his feet at a club and build himself, because obviously he did well with Rangers, but I think it was a step too far too soon for him, Aston Villa, because Premier League's just a whole nother kettle of fish, isn't it? Kind of thing. So maybe a League One Championship club and kind of build from there.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you there. I mean, and before we move on from the Premier League, I mean, Keira, I mean, Brighton did lose, but they've had a stellar season as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It's been great watching them, and it's wonder how you get rid of a crap striker and you do amazing. So thanks, Brighton. But no, they have. They've done amazing under their new manager, and I think it's just obviously it's class to see them obviously getting into Europe now and challenging for their spots and knocking Liverpool down a few pegs, because that's always nice to see. But
she's taking your place having digs at me, Sha.
I've got to do it. I am here for a reason.
But and then but before we do move on, I mean, Chelsea got a point. Well done, Frank. He got a point at Newcastle, so he got to walk off and wave at the fans without losing on his last game, which just brilliant. I think Chelsea, were they 12th? Did they finish 12th, Chelsea?
Yeah, I think so.
12th. Wonderful news. And I mean, Craig said in the chat they were the better team on the day. I'm just not a big fan. It's a Trippier own goal. That's what did them there. But well done, Frank. Best of luck on your next appointment, wherever that's going to be.
Probably like Yeovil Town or something, maybe. Although to be fair, I won't give it to them.
Or Saudi. You could go to Saudi.
He'd love it there. I'm sure he'd love it there.
They live a name over there. That might do him. That might do him well. But I think that that covers us for now. As I said, next week we are going to be going through all of the Premier League and spending a bit of time on that. So feel free to come and join us during that one. But we'll quickly move on. We're not going to spend a huge amount of continental football because it's pretty much all wrapped up now. There's still one more game left to play in La Liga, but it doesn't really. I tell you what, let me get rid of this little logo so we can see everything. Doesn't really impact much. Barcelona has still won. I mean, the top four is pretty much it is. The top four is nailed on. It's just whether it's going to be Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, and Elche are gone. My local team in the south of Spain, they are gone. It could be Espanyol, Valladolid, and Celta Vigo. It could be one of those three, but it's pretty much there's nothing quite as exciting going on there. I think I'm just having a quick look at the fixtures. There's nothing really that's going to be too exciting in La Liga. But hasn't it been fun watching Sam cover that La Liga for us and keeping us all up to date with the old retirement village of Sevilla that has done fabulously well to get themselves up to 11th from relegation spot. But yeah, Barcelona won. Well done. Real Madrid are probably going to be second. Isn't that wonderful? Over in Serie A, that is all wrapped up at the top. So Napoli are obviously the league winners. Sampdoria, potentially the new team of the Leeds owner. They're getting relegated. Cremonese, they're down as well. And it is just between Verona and Spezia. Which one is going to be going down there? Neither of them are coming into it with terribly fabulous form, to be perfectly honest with you. They're not playing each other, though, are they? Because that would be fantastic. No, Roma are playing Spezia. And Roma, if you'll notice, they're in 6th place. Juventus back down to 7th. I think they were back up to 3rd or 2nd place, I believe, but they've had 10 points taken back off them. So God knows what's going on there. But Roma against Spezia, they will probably beat them. And if they do, that could quite possibly mean, depending as long as Atlanta get a good result against Monza at home, which they should, Juventus will be without European football next year, which will just be wonderful with all the signings that they've made. And that'll be great. I mean, the Paul Pogba jinx seems to be spreading, and he's destroying that team as well. But I mean, while we are on there, I believe Champions League finalists, is that Inter Milan Champions League finalists with Man City? Anybody think Milan are going to do Man City?
I'll just be controversial and say yeah. Just so I get more people coming for me now. I've got City fans as well, so yeah, go on Inter.
I mean, Keira, how many goals for City do you think? That'd be epic. I mean, Keira, do you think Inter are going to score any goals?
They might get one. It might be like 2-1. I don't know. I think it could go either way. I think like Man City rather batter him or they'll put up a fight. Like it's gonna go either way, but I don't see Man City not winning it. But then again, I probably just jinxed it for everyone, so I'm really sorry.
But I think the only chance they got is to go uber defensive, but I have a feeling it's going to be like embarrassing, like 4-1 or something. The only thing that'll stop it being more than like 4-1 will be Pep just doesn't like to win games by a heavy amount, isn't it?
He panics. He panics too much when it comes to Champions League. So it's his own worst enemy. So I'm hoping that's something we can count on, but I think he'll get it right this time, to be fair.
I mean, Craig is saying in the chat it'd be funny if Inter won. It would be wonderful.
It would.
I think it'd be superb. And if Zeko to score the winner for Inter.
Oh, imagine.
Scenes. It'd be absolute limbs. But Inter and AC Milan have both linked in. Kaylee being very facetious. Doesn't Pep have bigger things to worry about, like Julia Roberts? I'm not sure if anybody saw that in the news. Check it out. If you haven't, Google it, because I'll just say something that'll get us wrong, get into trouble.
We need Kim Kardashian to turn up in a Manchester City shirt, because she jinxed everyone, didn't she? Whichever shirt she was wearing.
That would be magic. And Chris is saying in the chat, hopefully Haaland will get injured in the FA Cup final. He is due a big injury, Haaland. I will say he is due a big injury, because who knows? And because where he used to get big injuries was in the Bundesliga at Borussia Dortmund. Last day, I'm not sure if anybody followed the last day of the Bundesliga. I've never been more cheesed off in all my life. I think for the first time, I think this was the 11th consecutive win of the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich. There was their chance. All Borussia Dortmund had to do was beat Mans at home, and they went 2-0 down in the first half, as if they were really saying to everybody, no, this isn't going to happen. Please don't put any pressure on us. They bottled it. You tremendous bunch of bottlers, Borussia Dortmund, you disgust me. I was fuming. And I think the last person to win the Bundesliga, apart from Bayern Munich, is Jurgen Klopp. He's the only manager that can stop the big teams, and he does it everywhere he goes. He's the only one, and they can't have him back because he's still got work to do here at Liverpool. Chris is saying Haller missed a penalty as well. Dortmund drew 2-2, incidentally. They drew 2-2 with Mans. Put a draw in back in the 69th minute and the 96th minute with Nicolas Sula. And Craig was saying it was a good ending for the neutral. They said they wanted Dortmund to do it. Everybody wanted Dortmund to do it. It was just really... all the cool people wanted Dortmund to do it.
I remember I got a mystery shirt in one of them mystery shirt boxes, and I got a Bayern Munich one. So since then, I've been a Bayern Munich like.
You're such a glory hunter. I mean,
someone's got to be. I'm a Rochdale fan. It's the only glory I get. I'm not a glory hunter.
You're allowed one big team. You're allowed,
exactly.
Apparently, some people have more than one across multiple nations. But
in every division.
Yeah, that is a joke for us, ladies and gentlemen. That is a joke for us. But yeah, it was a shame that they totally threw it away. Craig saying last time Munich didn't win the league, Man City had never won the Premier League. That's how long ago it was. It is true. It was, I think it was Jurgen Klopp's last but one season, or last but two seasons at Borussia Dortmund was the last time he was winning. He's been at Liverpool like 7 years. So that was a shame.
How long he's been there at Liverpool now?
I think it's about 7 years now. Because I remember watching his first game in charge against Spurs. It was a couple of days after my son was born. So I watched it with my newborn son, who is 7 now. So
that's cute.
I tried to indoctrinate him early. But the Bundesliga went from a league that promised so much and in the end has offered nothing. Union Berlin and Freiburg were first and second for a huge period of time. They finished 4th and 5th. Bayern Munich obviously win it. And Leipzig finished in 3rd, same as every other Bundesliga season. The only real good story was Bayer Leverkusen pulling themselves up with beautiful Xavi Alonso from the lower end of the league up to 6. Unfortunately, Schalke and Hertha Berlin have both gone down. I believe Stuttgart in the relegation playoff. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I haven't done that much research. And Craig's confirming to me that Klopp is actually the second longest serving manager in the Premier League after Pep.
No way.
Pep. He is the longest, and Pep is second. So Pep if Pep could just piss off, and that would make everybody happy. That'd be wonderful. I'm shifting over quickly then to League On. There's one more game to play. Nothing really exciting is going to happen here. Paris Saint-Germain has won. The only interesting thing that I did notice with Ligue 1 is Lens have been on an absolute tear. And they could finish. I mean, if PSG can't be asked to show up in their last game and they don't win against Clermont Foot, Lens could finish with 1 point behind them, which, considering they weren't even in the top 10 for a period of the league, is sensational. They've been on an absolute tear. But yeah, I mean, the same as Man City in the Premier League, sports washing has destroyed everything. Thanks a lot for that. But that's all the stuff that's been going on in the European League. I mean, we'll just very quickly to a black and white Charlotte. Charlotte's going retro.
I know. What's happened? I don't know what's going on. What's happening to my laptop?
She's going all Elizabeth.
Has it gone better?
Yeah, I thought you were going all Elizabeth Taylor on this then.
I don't know what happened then.
Just bring a bit of class
No
and
idea.
quality. A bit of
I won't go that far with me.
But I mean, before we collude and conclude together, obviously there was all of the playoffs happening. All of the playoffs. I mean, we'll start off with today's, which I believe was Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, obviously, it was today. It was a bank holiday, and we've all been doing wonderful, exciting things with our time today. So, unfortunately, none of us scored it. I mean, but we have seen some of the highlights and the what's not. I mean, Josh Windus scoring an injury time winner. Where have we seen a Windus scoring an injury time winner before, Shah?
I know, his dad. His dad. But it was absolute limbs for obviously Chef Wednesday fans, but it's absolutely sickening as a fan if you were Barnsley. Imagine thinking, right, penalties are stressful enough, but we've got it this far, and then that happens. You'd be absolutely wounded, wouldn't you?
I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, it was 120 plus 3 minutes.
So it was an injury time, yeah.
Right, injury time of the last half of extra time. Devastating. I mean, Haley said it was ridiculous. Josh Windus doing what his dad did from Dean. And yeah, I mean, Haley's touched on the Phillips red card for Barnsley. Barnsley did get a red card in the 49th minute. Saying it's not a red card. I don't think it was a red card. Charles, did you think that was a red card?
I don't think it was a red card either. I really don't.
Yeah, it was.
VAR strikes again.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said in the chat, VAR was useless. It just wasn't very fair. Did you catch that at all, Keira? Have you seen any of the highlights? Or
I haven't actually. I was meant to catch up on it, so I'm sorry if anyone's a Sheffield fan or a Barnsley fan and I've not seen it. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm buzzing for them because I think it's obviously from like where they've been in the past and like to where they are now, and to get up again is great for them. And obviously, as you said, Sharp, that it's a horrible feeling for the Barnsley fans, especially like in the injury time of extra time, and you're thinking, right, penalties will be fine. Come on, we'll do this. We'll get through it. It's fine. And then you get that, and it just breaks your heart. And I just think,
yeah,
I feel so sorry for him.
I feel sorry for Barnsley, but I think part of me wanted Chef Wednesday to do it because how they turned it around against Peterborough. Because honestly, we were doing me and Sam were doing a light bite, and I remember us coming off. I looked at Flash Score and I texted him straight away. I was like, "Oh my god, have you seen this?"
It's mad, isn't
it?
We
went, what? So we both turned it on, obviously, because we were missing it. It was, It's really hard playoffs. Like I've been there with Rochdale, obviously against Stockport in the playoff final, and we were on obviously the losing side of it, and it's awful. But for it to happen in injury time of extra time, when you think, right, 50-50 chance here, we've got penalties, it's sickening, absolutely sickening. Yeah.
I mean, and just catching up with some of the chat. I mean, Haley was saying she was working that Peterborough game. I bet that was fun trying to work the commentary on that one. She said it was unreal. Chris was saying it wasn't a great game, but the Barnsley keeper made a worldie of a save. But we all agree the challenge was a yellow at best. It was bad timing.
Yeah.
It wasn't dangerous. That was my big thing. It wasn't dangerous. I mean, he wasn't going in studs. His legs weren't high. He just hit into him. Probably hurt his misters a little bit because it wasn't the best landing that he went into. And I think as well they did miss out on a penalty.
I thought so. I thought so.
Yeah, there was Chris saying in the chat that I knew I'd seen it somewhere that yes, they did, and it wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't a nice time really for Barnsley. And I think Haley was saying there it is. They had such bad luck, but played brilliantly, and she got a lot of respect for Michael Duff and what he's done there. And Chris has also been at Wembley in 2008. I hate it. I mean,
You know
hate
what
penalties.
was the best bit? The best bit about that day was obviously it's the first time we've ever been to Wembley before, first time we've ever been to like a playoff final as Rochdale fans. So I went, obviously my mum went, my cousin, my stepdad and my dad. So we were all on the coach and stuff, and my mum said, I brought some face paints, we'll do like some nice face paints and stuff. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So my favourite at the time was Adam Lafondra, and we used to call him Alfie. So my mum in big capitals wrote Alfie across my head. It was our centenary season, so I had black and white stripes on my cheeks. Then my mum and cousin just had like RAFC on the cheek, so I looked like a right idiot to start with because it was all across my head. And anyway, obviously, worst thing happened, we lost. I had a really sad face. I ended up as a final picture before the winning, like Stockport there winning, Liam Dickinson and Anthony Pilkington holding up this cup that they've won, obviously the playoff final. I was a final picture that ended up on Sky, ended up everywhere, of me and my miserable face with Alfie written across my head. I was practically in tears, and that was me. I was absolutely fuming, and I'll still blame my mum for this day. That it was her fault because she put that across my head. Bearing in mind, he played for Stockport too, so it was worse. So yeah, I never lived that moment down. Never lived that moment down.
Chris is joining, and he cried as well. Craig saying, "Lafondra, that's a blast from the past. Remembering from Rotherham and Reading." And Chris is saying, "What a player! What a player!" But it is hot. I hate penalties. I think it's a horrible way to end the game, as it was for Stockport, losing 5-4. Carlisle.
I was buzzing.
Well, Stockport,
I don't like Stockport.
They've just stole the Rochdale badge and just changed the letter in, haven't they?
Do you know what? I never minded Stockport, right? Obviously, what they went through, it was absolutely awful. Obviously, getting relegated to obviously, it was the one below the conference, so National League North. So I always felt really sorry for Stockport fans. But when we got relegated this season, they were all laughing at us. I got some really like mean messages on Twitter, and they were like, ha, we've relegated you. So I obviously had to get my 50p's worth in. I was like, actually, no, you didn't. I said, because if Crawley got a result, obviously they were safe. So technically, Crawley relegated us, and we relegated ourselves because we were this bad all season. So
I was expecting you to say that.
Since then, I've just been on a mad one against Stockport, and I thought, do you know what? I want Carlisle to win. Paul Simpson, obviously ex-Dale, so I was buzzing for him. So sorry, Stockport fans. There is some genuinely nice ones that I do like, but some of you were just awful to me. So yeah, sorry, not sorry.
And you didn't relegate Rochdale. They relegated themselves by being crap all season.
Exactly. So. I wanted to say that, but I didn't know if I could actually swear.
But Craig is agreeing with you. Good for Carlisle. He had a soft spot for Jimmy Glass. Chris remembers that Jimmy Glass moment as well. I don't remember that Jimmy Glass. I thought Jimmy Glass is when you're breaking into someone's house. But again, there was a game that was I think that was 1-1. Another game that went through to penalties, which personally upset me, was a championship playoff. Coventry and that other team, Luton Town. It was that was another 1-1, basically the same game, boring as pants. One team beating the. Tell me if I'm being biased. I don't know if either of you saw this game or watched anything. It could just be my bias. I thought Coventry were the better team. I thought they should have won. They had more of the ball. They had more passes. They had more corners. They were better. They were better. They were the better team.
Spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, a nasty injury that you didn't want to see. I think I can't remember who it was for now. The name's completely flipping. Hammer. It's Hammer time. He got injured. I had to go off, but I was so angry. I was so angry that that was 1-1 went to the penalties, and they didn't have it. I mean, Chris is agreeing with me in the chat. Coventry, we're the better team. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you concur, Charlotte? Or do you feel Coventry were the better team?
I like Coventry. They're always a better team for me. I love Jamie Allen, so always Coventry.
Did you catch the game, Keira?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't really fussed who was going to go because I don't mind either, but obviously Coventry were the better team and stuff. But I'm quite looking forward to having that away ending out in Premier League next season. Do
you know what I love? Like, where the away fans go is obviously on the street. There's a house next to it where there's a wheelie bin, and I've seen a picture of it. It was like this overloaded wheelie bin, and I saw another picture as well because his house is around it. There was this man peeping out of his attic window to watch the football. It was just brilliant.
It is wild. It's going to be interesting. I mean,
I
don't know. They could invest some money to sort the stadium out. I wouldn't, because they might be back down next season. Let's be fair. That's mean. I wish you all the best, Luton. I hope you do really, really well. You sods. Craig in the chat wanted Luton to go up, but would have been glad for Coventry if they'd been through. And yeah, it would have been a beautiful story for Coventry, I think, from where they... I mean, it's good for Luton in that the progression that they've had from sort of non-league, which was it, 9-10 years ago? They were like semi-professional to get themselves up to the Premier League within a decade. It's just outstanding. That is fantastic. And so, yeah, well done. But yeah, I'm really cheesed off because it's so hard to get out to the championship's going to be a pig next season. It's going to be an absolute pig. I think as Simon said, if Hammer doesn't go off, we win that game. Yes, that's right. I think it's right. Haley saying boo hiss Luton. I know. I had to tweet out saying, look, any tweets I'm going to pull out are going to be tainted and bitter. So just please don't take it seriously. I was really, really upset. I know if anyone for any confusion as well, I do sound Welsh. Both my wife, my in-laws, my daughter, they're all from Coventry. So I do have an invested interest there. I was just really upset, and that was a bit poo. It was a little bit poo, but they can never go again. What I did like, though, and I believe I'm correct looking at what I did see, the fans were exceptional from all the teams that I've seen. I haven't seen anything from any team where there were fans causing any issues, any rioting, any troubles on the trains. I mean, especially, I'm not sure if you saw, but on the Saturday when Coventry were trying to get down, I believe there were strikes or issues on that was causing bedlam, but you were seeing all the tweets and everything that I saw. People were trying to find the ways around it, and they all managed to get there, and they didn't cause any issues. I think for fans of all the teams, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Sort of said a lot for the atmosphere that you sort of get at that level of football. I mean, Shah, as our advocate for lower league football, do you think that's fairly representative?
I thought you were going to say as our hooligan.
I wasn't going to say it, but seeing as you've just outed yourself.
No, it's brilliant to see, and it was so refreshing as well, seeing how many fans from all the clubs were there as well. They're obviously all the teams are well supported, so it was brilliant to see how many fans around the stadium, because I know with Wembley in particular, they only give so many tickets, and a lot of them is corporate, isn't it? So it was nice to just see the fans and obviously hear obviously all the singing, the passion, on the TV. So I do like the playoffs. They're one of my favourite times of the season.
Chris is saying there's 74,000 there today for League One.
Exactly.
I thought it was fantastic. The fact that there was 34,000 for League Two. Where were the League Two sides from? It was Stockport and
Carlisle. Yeah.
They're fairly far though, aren't they? That's a bit of a trek to try and cover that down to Wembley, I believe. But the fact that you had that many people, you would have had roughly just like 200,000 people, or probably over 200,000 people over the space of 3 days. And I didn't see any reports anywhere of any issues at all. And all the stuff, obviously, like I said, I do follow Coventry as sort of my secret side hustle. But all the feedback, all the stuff that I saw, it was all positive. Even after they lost the game, it was all really positive, and people were giving themselves, they were still singing, supporting the team. They're going to, sort of go again. I thought it was fabulous. It was a really good demonstration of how football should be, and with the tribalism and everything that you get elsewhere. And Simon saying the higher the league, the more corporate there is at Wembley. Yeah, rubbish. They just spoil everything. Then.
Do you know what I kind of loved about these playoffs as well? Every like team kind of had the story behind them of how they've obviously gone from higher up to lower down, and obviously the struggles they've had and how they've got back up. And that's why, and I know I had my moment about Stockport before, but I would have obviously been happy for them if they did do it, because like I said, they've been through the troubles. I know, I'm trying to be nice here, but I just love how it makes you think, like, no matter how your team might go through its struggles, they can quite easily get back up again. It might take time, but never like give up on hope. And obviously being a Dale fan, and obviously what we've had to endure this season, it kind of gives me that little bit of hope. Like, it might be us one day. I'm not saying it will be, because don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to be great next season. I think it'll be a struggle, but it does give me a little bit of hope. Maybe that one day we might get back up to Football League again.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, they were all sort of smaller teams, if you like.
Exactly,
I think Coventry's probably the biggest hitter in regards to history, I think. But where they've been through, I mean, basically having to play in parks for a period of time, and ground sharing with Birmingham. And if anyone knows the Coventry-Birmingham rivalry, that's just remarkable. That would happen. But yeah, but the fact that they've all got there, none of them are like massive money teams. I mean, because Wrexham will have that thrown at them consistently, which if you want to know more about Wrexham, check out on our channel. We're all about Wrexham episode with Sean Winter from Disney Plus. Welcome to Wrexham. But they're going to get that thrown at them. But it shows all of these teams have built themselves up without any sort of massive resource. And yeah, like you said, they're all lovely stories. It's all lovely.
They all had a story, didn't they? No matter who obviously went up and won the playoffs, they all had like a story behind them, like the struggles to then what they've achieved. So that's what I do like to see about football.
Yeah, no, it was great, and congratulations to all the team that went up. Commiserations to everybody that didn't. Don't be bitter for too long, because it just wrecks your day. Then it just wrecks your day.
Apart from me, we Stockport.
Yeah, but so Charlotte's going to hold on to that one for probably another season, and then she'll be fine.
Maybe season and a half, depending how we do next season.
It is, but that concludes our evening today. As I've mentioned about 80,000 times, next week I'm not going to be here next week. I actually start my new job next week. I've got a new job, so I've been on gardening leave for like a month. I've been doing nothing for ages, just tossing around. But I do start next week, so I won't be here. But the likelihood is you'll have everybody's favourite. Sam will be here. Charlotte will be here. You never know. Potentially Keira. Potentially Lucas will be here. Maybe Haley will try and get all the gang in to try and cover off the Premier League pretty exclusively next week. I might try and record a soundbite and send it in that Charlotte can then take the piss out of and decimate and bully me.
Standard.
Yeah, because she just enjoys that.
You better do it now. You better do it now, because that's gonna like. I'm excited now for Monday just to do that.
And I mean, potentially, if Keira's available as well, she might be able to join in, because she'll enjoy a bit of Liverpool baiting. I've got no doubt at all. But make sure if you can join us next week, that'd be fantastic. If you want to know where you can join us as a podcast, I think it is here somewhere, because I can never remember it. We have, of course, on Twitter at Absolute Ball Pod, on TikTok at Absolute Football Pod, on Instagram Absolute Football Podcast _. So make sure you follow everything, set all of your alerts, but follow, press subscribe, all of this jazz. Press everything positive. Put that all in there. But obviously a massive thanks first of all to Keira. Thank you for joining us. I asked Keira this morning, and she managed to come along because I'm super organized, despite Charlotte telling me to do it last week. But thank you for joining us. And Keira, I mean, if everybody's going to want more Keira and more Everton news, where can they find you and your many, many activities?
Right, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at KeiraKnox06. Basically, it's a lot of content about Seamus Coleman. You're going to have to put up with it. And a lot of shaky video filming at the women's matches, because I post a lot of women's content. So if you want to check that out, please do.
Oh, that is fantastic. And Charlotte, where can everybody find you? All the haters, all the trolls, and the nice people. Where are you?
I am on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram I'm Shah XRAFC. If you want to see my Her Game 2 stuff, that's Rochdale HGT on all those socials. And if you want to follow Her Game 2, keep up to date with everything Her Game 2, that's on all the socials, and we've got our own website. But if you do want to check out my socials, I was at a charity football match today. I don't know if you're all familiar with Joe Thompson. He used to play for Rochdale, and obviously he beat cancer twice. So he did a charity football match raising money for the Christies, and there's a lot of content on from today, and it was such a good atmosphere and some really good content, and it was just really good to be around, a really great atmosphere. So if you want to check that out, that's on all my socials.
I said, and just some lovely words for me. Heather's wish me good luck. Thank you very much, Heather. That is very kind of you. And Chris, thank you also. And he's thanking us all for the show. And thank you all for watching and for being here. It's been lovely. It's lovely to have you here as always. But please remember, follow us, share the love and all that jazz. If you want me, I'm FMFO_official in places. I'm actually streaming on Twitch at the moment a Rochdale Football Manager save. Well, I've just finished my first season and I was 1 point off the playoffs.
Oh.
What a solid effort.
I'll take that.
What a solid effort. I'm just mad skills. But thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Please follow on all of the stuff that is on the bottom there, the Twitter, the TikTok, the Instagram. There's just content everywhere. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you all have a fan-dabby dozy evening. TTFN, ta-ta for now.